Hello and welcome to another episode of Put Me in Coach on episode 125, Diamondbacks versus Braves, Game 3. Lineup of the day, Gabe Marino playing DH, Jorge Rosa playing center field, Max Kepler playing left field. I thinking the rest is the same, I think. I'm a little bit behind a little bit, so just I'm trying to fix things in the way and stuff. I think that's going on and stuff. Vargas came in to hit later on, to replace Nolan Arenado because he got injured and stuff. And then bottom of the fourth, he came in to play third base for Nolan Arenado and stuff. Not a whole lot. I would say 50-50. It's just like a little here and there and stuff. So not too much of enough. Honestly, enough is not really a good game overall. Just let you know of that and stuff. Going pitching wise of enough. Starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks, Michael Osorka. He went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, 5 strikeouts, walk 1, and gave up 2 runs and stuff. So not too bad of enough. Not the best, but in some ways it's okay and stuff. And then the Braves starting pitcher was Bryce Elder. He won 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, struck out 5, walked 1, and gave up 1 run. So it's a good matchup against Michael Osorka and stuff. So that's pretty much of that. And then bullpen is going to be Taylor Clark and then Brandon Garcia. I will talk about that later on because I don't like that decision at all and stuff. And it's horrid. And this is probably the reason why we lost the game and stuff. And then Corrado Carrillo came in later on and stuff. Then we're gonna go scoring. I downloaded down a little bit, take out the boring stuff. These are the ones that we want to talk about and stuff. Gabe Marino with a solo home run to tie the game up 1-1. Top of the fourth. Ronald Acuna Jr. with a RBI double to make it 2-1. Bottom of the fifth. Vargas with a solo home run to make it tied 2-2. Top of the seventh. And then this is where it went downhill with Matt Olson with a 3 home run to make it 5-2, bottom of the seventh. The final score is 3-5. Diamondbacks did lose. Their record is 66-59 at the time and stuff. So not looking good and progress. It's just we gotta get our offense back into this and stuff. We had a chance. I thinking we could absolutely win this. Obviously, we beat the series over the Braves, so fortunately enough, that is a positive. But we would like to, sweep the Braves in a way. But fortunately, it just didn't have it our way and stuff. And pitching wise, of enough. They just need to get a little bit better overall and stuff. Taylor Clark kind of gave up 1 hit, a run later on and stuff, and that's basically that. Sorry, so that's that. I will talk about what I don't like with what Lovello did in this game and stuff, and I thinking he really messed up, and it kind of blew in his face. So, what really happened is basically putting Braden Garcia in the 7th, and then fortunately enough of walking a player on his first at bat and stuff, and then having Matt Olson hitting a 3 home run off of him to take the lead as 5-2. Fortunately enough, yes, the Diamondbacks did get a run in the 9th. From Tim Towell ground out RBI and stuff, and that's how the game ended as 5-3, Braves winning and stuff. But fortunately enough, the only thing enough of why I'm saying it's Lovello's fault, because fortunately enough of why did you put Brandon Garcia in the 7th? This is a huge decision, and it was poorly wrong in a way. And we had this situation before with Kevin Ginkel, and he used it wrong as well. And so this is the second time he's using the wrong pitcher at the wrong time, wrong inning, and wrong in a way to use these pitchers as the bullpen or closer in situation and stuff, and it's just not going the way Lavello thought and stuff. And my reason enough of why this is not working very well, because fortunately enough, one of them is a closer, and you use the other as a closer slash bullpen, and you're thinking enough of the closer. The one of we have right now is Garcia, thinking enough of going in much earlier than in a game, and thinking enough of he's gonna do good. No, this is where enough of what you don't really need and stuff, because it's a poor decision enough of you thinking enough of we should absolutely have more other people and to close games out when it matters and stuff. If it's a crazy game where enough of the Diamondbacks are winning games like huge or whatever and stuff, and the closer doesn't get the save or whatever and stuff, I'm totally fine with that with different, pitchers, whatever and stuff. I'm fine with whoever does it and stuff. But if you want to put the best of the best closer at the time and stuff, get them at the save and stuff, put them in every single time and stuff. I totally understand Paul Sewald is gone. He is DFA. I totally understand and stuff. And then fortunately enough for a person to take that spot is Brandon Garcia. And fortunately enough, he's been doing a solid job and stuff. He never gave up a time where he lost that opportunity in a way and stuff, and he's been dominated and stuff. So why do you do changing it and stuff? Because that's where enough it went wrong. So fortunately enough, what happened in the first time of making that mistake is with Kevin Ginkel. So now we're going to go backwards of enough of other games where enough of in game 2, actually no, I'm sorry, game 3 against the Dodgers. Fortunately enough, we did win the series over the Dodgers 2 out of 3 games, and so pretty good enough to beat the Dodgers in a series overall and stuff, and the last series against them as well and stuff. Kevin Ginkel did close that game, got his first save in this whole season and stuff. That's the only time he's been closing and stuff, because Garcia has been closing for this whole time, besides of Paul Sewald later on of DFAing him gone and stuff. So that's why Garcia's been doing it and stuff. So what is the purpose enough for Kevin Ginkel to do this? Because again, of enough for this situation and the idea enough for Lavello going for this idea is to switch it up to closer and stuff. And to me, enough in my head, in my opinion and stuff, I don't think that's a good idea. And he did that last year, and it didn't really work out so well and stuff. So don't go in that way, and he's been doing pretty solid by not doing that and stuff, and putting Garcia as the closer, and we've been winning games overall and stuff. So where the problem went wrong were enough of when Kevin Ginkel got his first save against the third game of the Dodgers and stuff to get us the winning series over the Dodgers and stuff. Then he came in to later on to pitch in for the bullpen on the game of game 2 against the Rockies. And fortunately enough for that, he is the one we lost the game because of him and stuff. And again, why are you putting a closer into a bullpen, situation and stuff? Because Ginkel shouldn't be closing for the Diamondbacks. He shouldn't. And it was supposed to be Garcia and stuff. It wouldn't really matter enough of Ginkel or Garcia hit in that game 3 against the Dodgers, because we would just win anyways and stuff. So that's where it went wrong and stuff. And then fortunately enough for Ginkel to be against the Rockies and stuff, he pretty much gave up a triple of enough from Hunter Goodman, and so I totally understand from him from that and stuff, because Hunter Goodman is a good, catcher for the Rockies, whatever and stuff. He has good numbers, but then after that, Mickey Moniak got a RBI sac fly, and that led to the Rockies take the lead 3-2, and that is the final score, because the Diamondbacks cannot have a comeback against the Rockies, and fortunately enough, losing a game 3-2 because of Ginkel, mistake with Lovello. So that's where it went wrong, and then fortunately enough for Kevin Ginkel giving up that RBI sac fly, getting him to the loss for the Diamondbacks and give him a loss for himself. And again, that's Lovello's fault. And so he's doing the same situation with Randy Garcia. So fortunately enough for this, enough of why did you put him at this time, okay, against this game against the Braves and stuff. He's been our closer. Why are you not putting him as a closer? And the other thing is if you're gonna put Garcia at this time, who is going to be the closer? Because right now at the time, it was tied 2-2 and stuff. And if we did have that extra run and make it as 3-2, we could absolutely sweep the Braves at that time. And I don't know who would be the closer at the time and stuff. And if you were thinking enough of Ginkel, well, we didn't see Ginkel because we lost the game, So that's where enough it went a little struggle and stuff. And then putting Garcia in the 7th and stuff, where enough of Tyler Clark had a problem and stuff. So that's why both of them had to pitch in the same inning and stuff. And then Garcia enough of giving up a 3-home run from Matt Olson and stuff. Matt Olson is a good player. I totally understand where, it went problem of enough. But fortunately enough of I blame on Lovello, because again, this is not a good situation enough of putting your closer in a different inning and stuff by giving them not a good rhythm in the situation and stuff. Just keep him as a closer. Like, that's the only thing you gotta do and stuff. What's the reason enough of putting him in later on and stuff if you're not going to use him as the closer and stuff? So this is the second time he's mixing up with the closer, and if he's not mixing up the closers, we've been winning games. So stop doing what you thought you were going to do and keep doing what you're doing, because we're winning games, So don't make these mistakes, because I'm feeling enough of when this happens, hopefully enough, Lovello actually learns from his mistakes and stuff and realize enough of, that was not a good idea putting Garcia in the 7th. Because to me of enough, what I would do if I was in Lovello's shoes, I would not put Garcia in the 7th. I would actually have him closing if we were winning and stuff. So that's where it went wrong, and that's where it's just not right for Garcia to go out there at that time, and it blew in Lovello's face, and he's the problem why we lost the game and stuff. Overall, of enough of winning a series over the Braves, it was a positive, but it would be great enough if we win the series over the Braves. And also, we're having problems enough right now and stuff, especially enough in the wild card spot and stuff with the Phillies and the Padres, and the Cubs are over us and stuff. But if you want to be competitive, this is the things you cannot mess up. If you want to be in the category to make it into the playoffs and the wild card spot and stuff. So we cannot, have these problems, because this is huge and stuff, and it's just not, it doesn't look good at all, and especially on Lovello's part as well and stuff. So hopefully he learns from his mistakes and stuff, because that was a huge blow up and stuff, and the wrong decision and stuff. And we had a chance to win it, and fortunately enough, it just didn't and stuff. So that's pretty much of that. But overall, yeah, it's kind of crazy overall. I'm kind of a little late on this. I know this is a little late overall and stuff. This is the 18th and stuff today and stuff, and this was the 16th day and stuff, I think. Yeah, 8/16/2026 and stuff. So, because this was Sunday game. This was Sundays, and today is Tuesday. So I'm a little off and stuff because just the schedule, the timing. I had a lot of other things going on Sundays, Mondays and stuff. So today is my chance enough to get everything all done and stuff. I have more other things going on today, so I'm trying to catch up everything, doing all the things I need to do and stuff, and getting in the right direction where I'm at. So that's all that. Let me do all these typical things I need to do and stuff, and then yeah, so see you in another video, particular of this day, but in a different episode. So hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. Have a great day, and thank you for watching.